It's the final countdown. You got, I don't know. You just gotta have a moment of pause. You gotta have a moment of reflection, because you hear the Matthew Stafford stuff, and the Giants, of course, met with Matthew Stafford's team yesterday. So, and I keep thinking to myself this: do the Giants want to be relevant, or do they want to be good? And this is the question I've been asking now, going on 2 days, because that's the question. What's up, Matthew? What's up, everyone? Do they want to be relevant? And being relevant would be overspending and then overpaying for a 37-year-old quarterback who actually has a losing record. People tend to overlook that. He was mired in a bad team for years with the Detroit Lions. He did not rise them out of mediocrity. It wasn't until he went to a pre-built Rams team with Sean McVay did he finally win something. And I think it's interesting that certain Giant fans, I'm not going to say all Giant fans, but certain Giant fans want to bring him in. And I keep thinking, to do what? We are not Matthew Stafford away from being good. We are Matthew Stafford away from being relevant for a very short period of time. This is a guy that's thrown 377 touchdowns, but 188 interceptions. This is a guy who, if you look at it, he's 108, 113, and 1. And even with his Ram days, he's only 34 and 23. It's not like this guy has set the world on fire with the Rams. The biggest season they had was a 12-win season back in 2021. And this is also a guy that only completes about 60-something% of his passes. Career 63% passer rating. Percentage. 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. The most interceptions he has had in the last, since 2018 was the 41, his first season with the Rams under McVay in 2021. So before that, he had 21, 19, 26, 41, 10, 24, 20 interceptions. He led the league in 2021 with 17 interceptions. I mean, it's like this team just wants to be relevant. And being relevant, thank you, Kelly. I love my Black Rifle coffee. I hoarded Black Rifle pumpkin spice the other day, because I love Black Rifle pumpkin spice, but they only have it once a year, so I bought like 20 bags. Throw them in the freezer. But they just, is it? And Joe Schoen came out and said, what we're going to do, we're going to swing for the fences for a quarterback. Hey, swing, bada. But that's the problem. When you swing out of desperation, what good happens? Mr. Taz, what's up? The Giants will take a punter at 3. Of course they will. Abdul Carter. We're going to talk about Abdul Carter and the foot injury. Thank God that hopefully is going to die down to the Giants, because what we really need is Abdul Carter to go with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, so we can have 3 guys that don't play the run well. Because people forget, everyone wants to talk about he had all these tackles for losses last year. Yeah, he was also playing for the defensive end position. What happened the first 2 seasons when he was an off-the-ball linebacker? Oh, we don't count those seasons. Those seasons don't count. Don't talk about those. We can only talk about his last year. But getting back to Matthew Stafford, this would be, don't forget to hit the like button, guys. This would be the typical Giant move. This would be the, let's go out and get the name. Let's go out and get the Walla Walla Waller. Let's go out and get that big name that was relevant 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Bring him in. Give him, because you're going to have to pay him, because Matthew Stafford thinks he's underpaid at $30 million. I'm going to rephrase this. I'm going to say this. I'm not even going to rephrase it. I'm going to say it again. Matthew Stafford thinks he's underpaid at $30 million. So what? You want to talk about the 60-plus cap space you have? Now imagine taking $30 to $40 million of that cap space and giving it to Matthew Stafford. You only have this plethora of cap space because you don't have a quarterback on the roster. There's no quarterback on the rooster whatsoever. So you're probably going to have to give up either a first or a second. And then probably I'd probably say, if I'm the Rams, you could probably get easily a first-round pick, late first-round pick. You could probably get a second-round pick and maybe something else. Because there are quarterback-hungry teams. Trade through. Mr. Taz, don't even joke about that. Because knowing Joe Schoen, he's already on the phone with Howie. He goes, listen, I will give you the 3rd overall pick if you give me Kenny Pickett and a lifetime sub card, or I should say sandwich card, to Geno Steakhouse, to Geno Steaks. I'm not a Pat fan. I like Geno's. That's probably what Joe Schoen is doing right now. I love the Stafford contract would basically look exactly like the Daniel Jones deal that worked out so great. You're right. It worked out so well, the Daniel Jones deal. Why not? Let's give Matthew Stafford guaranteed 2 years at $50 million a year. He's never played outside of a dome. Am I the only one that sees this? He's never played outdoors, and you want to put him in one of the most inhospitable environments outside of like Green Bay or Chicago or places like that, and hope he can play in cold weather. You hope he's going to play in cold. Let's hope Matthew Stafford can play in the cold because he's never played outside of a dome. And even for a guy that played in the dome, his biggest year was his 3rd year with 41 touchdowns. And then he goes 20, 29, 22, 32, 24, 29, 21, 19. I'm not seeing the Matthew Stafford thing. He couldn't raise his team out of mediocrity outside of the 11-5 season. I think it was 10-6 that big year. And then he had 2 9-7 teams. And then he goes 3-4-1, gets hurt, then 5-11. He couldn't raise his team out of mediocrity, but somehow he's going to come to the New York Football Giants and be Peyton Manning when he went to the Denver Broncos. When Peyton Manning only played in a dome and he went to Denver and said there was 50 touchdown passes and all that stuff. Ha ha ha! I'm Joe Schoen. I eat Uncrustables. He needs to stick those Uncrustables up his ass because I'm so sick of him. I am so sick of him and his smugness and his inability to judge, talent. Everyone talks about how this draft was a knockout. Well, what happened to the last 2? The 2 prior to that? Can we talk about that? Or is that not allowed? Is that not allowed to talk about that? Because outside of Neighbors, Tyler Newman to me should be a linebacker. Phillips, I don't get the Phillips thing still to this day. League only completed 80% of their passes against him for an exorbitant amount of first downs and 10 yards of reception. But he's good. Theo Johnson is that tight end we've always wanted. Tyrone Tracy. Let's see what happens next year. And the old linebacker from USC. I'm just not seeing it outside of Neighbors. Even a blind squirrel finds an acorn. And that's Joe Schoen. He's a fucking blind squirrel. But don't worry, we are not just handing the keys of the franchise over still to a general manager, head coach who are desperate to save their jobs. And all we're sitting there going is, you know what? This should work out just fine. And then I love the Joe Milton thing. I did a video and I did a live stream where I said Joe Milton, before the draft last year, I said Joe Milton has all the physical attributes to be an NFL quarterback. And people blasted me. Mr. Authentic made a little meme or a little video about me saying that. And now Giant fans are sitting there going, we should go get Joe Milton. You're $1 short and 3 days late to the party. Because unless they are 100% sold on Drake May, New England is not moving on from potentially their backup quarterback for the next 10 years or 5 years, or maybe even a starter. I always go back. Redskins drafted Heath Schuler and Gus Frerotte in the same round. Gus Frerotte, longer and better career. Redskins drafted RG3 and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins still in the league. You're not going to get rid of your redundancy at quarterback unless you're the Giants, and you think the position's not that important. But then Joe Schoen comes out and says, you know what? Got to be the smugness of Joe Schoen first. Oh, you know what? That quarterback position is pretty important. Probably the most important. It's probably the most important position in football. I'm sitting there watching his news conference going, this is our fucking general manager. This smug asshole who went 7-2, 2-5-1, 6-11, and then 3-14, and the roster's gotten worse over time, is sitting there telling me that the quarterback position is the most important position in football. I thought it was the fucking punter. But don't worry, he's got the keys to the kingdom. And then you still have John Mara, who's sitting there telling people, listen, everything's going to be fine here. Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. But I better be happier next year at this time than I was last year. What the fuck does that mean? It means you should have taken everyone and gotten rid of them. Abdul Carter. Good kid. OGR Sports tells me, Merritt is a clown razz. I'm going to get to everyone in the chat. OGR Sports tells me all the time, because he's a Penn State fan, Penn State guy. Kept telling me, Abdul Carter, good kid. Great. And I sent him a meme that I remember from Glengarry Glen Ross with Alex Baldwin, where, he's basically telling the guys, the sales guys, listen, you're a great father. Fuck you, go home and play with your kids. I don't care if you're a good kid. Really don't. Really don't. Doesn't affect me. But you are a 2-year off the ball linebacker who switched to defensive end because of your speed and your ability to penetrate with the little shoulder dip, which we saw what happened in the bowl game. We've already talked about that against Notre Dame when he couldn't dip his shoulder anymore. Left tackle drove him into the dirt. Now he's got a foot injury discovered. There's discovery of a foot injury, which is he's going to have a precautionary surgery because the injury that he has could potentially lead to a stress fracture. And if anyone knows anything about sports, and it's more prevalent in basketball, when you get a stress fracture like that, your career is never usually the same, or you miss multiple years. So the red flags are up on this guy. He's going to go to Dallas. Because the Dallas, that's what Dallas does. They just take these guys that have all these potential injury issues. So it may knock him out of the play for the Tennessee Titans. And I've talked to people around the Tennessee area, and the Tennessee Titans people, and the 2 guys I talked about go, we love the New York Giants and people like that because they think we want Abdul Carter. We're like, we don't want Abdul Carter, but that's all right. But the Titans also, from what I'm hearing, are probably in the Matthew Stafford sweepstakes because the owner, she is tired of the team making mistakes after they did the Malik Will Levis thing. So they may go the veteran route. And they're looking for that transcendental talent, which to me would be Travis Hunter, which they would need over in Tennessee, well over Abdul Carter. But thank God he's not coming to the Giants. I mean, do we really need a guy that really only has one pass rushing move? We learned that from O'Shane Zimenez in his 10.5 sacks at Old Dominion. When you rely on speed and one move, your NFL career is pretty well shortened. And there's plenty of can't miss prospects that have come out like Abdul Carter that doesn't fit the league system. And what we need to do is we need to bring him in.
Submitted for your approval. The Ghost Brothers. Nobody needs to be afraid.
And we need to bring him in with the Ghost Brothers. Because we need another guy who can't hold the edge and maintain his assignment against the run. Because all teams have done for the last 4.5 years is run off tackle because we don't have any linebackers. So I'm kind of glad the Abdul Carter shit has gone the way of the Buffalo. I think Buffalo's probably coming back, though. I don't remember. And it's great because you know what?
Stupid giant Twitter post.
Well, this one's going out to Fireside Giants, who basically said that the sack win percentage for Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns were one of the best in the league. And I just asked, how many sacks did both of these guys have? And I just asked, how many multiple games did they go without getting a sack, a tackle, or a tackle for a loss? So let's just add in Abdul Carter because that'll work out just fine. If you're looking to get a quarterback, you got to draft one. How many times have we said it on this channel? Be bold, the mighty forces will come to your aid. If you think we've told the Ernie Accorsi story a million times. Ernie Accorsi, 83, first year as a general manager, Baltimore Colts, has the number 1 pick. John Elway says, fuck you, I'm not going to go in Baltimore because you guys have sucked for years. I'm going to go play baseball with the Yankees. Accorsi said, listen, this is our guy. This is the guy that's going to change the will of the franchise for the next 20 years. Oh, and he says, I'm not trading the pick because when your guy is there, that's your guy. So what happens? Ownership panics, overrides Accorsi, and turns around and trades the pick. And what happens? Oh, I think we know what happens. Ernie Accorsi, he basically gets shit canned. He goes on to the Giants. And what happens in then 2024? The scenario comes around again. The New York Giants have the opportunity. Ernie Accorsi is in love with Eli Manning, in love with the thought of Eli Manning. So what does he do? He tells the team he is going to move heaven and earth to get Eli Manning because he is not going to whiff again on this pick. He is not going to lose out on the franchise quarterback because they come around not very often. And he's going to get his man. So what does he do? He trades his number 1 that year. He takes the 3rd round pick, sends that also, and then takes the 2025 pick. 2005 pick, 1st round pick, and sends it over, which then turned out to be Sean Lights Out Merriman, who had a couple good years. Sends it over to the Chargers and gets his guy. You're like, Tim, why are you telling us this story? Because of the fact we don't like NFL history, some fans. We just want to be like Chat Sports and just make shit up. No, I'm telling you this because if Cam Ward is your guy, if you're truly looking to save yourself and save the franchise, and it should be saving the franchise over yourself. If you're Joe Schoen, you make the trade. You do the Mitchell Trubisky thing. You move up a spot, you move up 2 spots, and you get your guy. Unless you're sold on Shedeur Sanders and you don't think Cleveland's going to take him. But why take the risk? Why go out and break the bank on a 37-year-old pick? I love this one. Ron Juan, this is the Ron Juan. This made me laugh. The New York Giants trade the number 3 pick to the Minnesota Vikings for Daniel Jones. But he's a free agent, so we don't need to do that. We can just overpay Daniel Jones again. That's fine. But you do it. You do it for a reason. You go out and you find the guy and you go and get him. I keep saying this over and over again, and most analysts agree. Outside of maybe the top 8, there are not a lot of perceived Pro Bowlers in this draft. They're calling this a lot of starters in this draft. There are a lot of starters, not Pro Bowlers, not Hall of Famers, not the gold jacket guys, but potential starters. This is not a strong draft. You have the 3rd overall pick because Drew Lock just fucked you. Didn't even use lube. That's just what he did. That's just what he did to the Giants. And you sitting there, and you have the opportunity to move up 2 spots to the first overall pick. Do that instead of wasting your assets on a 37-year-old quarterback who will be 30. If you give him a 2-year deal, will be 39 going on 40 by the time the 2-year deal is over. And you still don't have a quarterback because we're not going the Jackson Dart route. You're not going that direction. And if you go that direction, you are going to be more surprised. Actually, yes, but he was, he was, but he was actually going to get fired because he had issues with management. But you got to go off, and you can't just go get a 40-year-old quarterback because then you're back in the same position that you were in 2 years prior. By still not having a quarterback, having a plethora of cap space, but having no one to lead your team. Let's get through some of these comments. I got some other stuff I want to talk about. Matthew, what's up? What's up, says Matthew. Oh, Kelly already got love the shirt. Matthew said no to Stafford. Yes to Russell Wilson is not coming here. You told Russell Wilson a year ago, you're not worth $1 million and you can't beat out Daniel Jones. This guy's going to want like 15 million, if not more. And you think he's going to sit there and go, I'm towards the end of my career. My legacy is kind of still in question a little bit. Where's the best place for me to go? Should I go to New York and get the shit kicked out of me and probably lose 13 games? Yeah, that sounds like a plan. No to Stafford. Yeah, we got that one. Mr. Taz says the Giants will draft a punter. Yeah, we got that one. Let's see here. What's up, Kevin? What's up, the dark friend? He is going to sell our future, and that's what he means. That's perfect, dark friend. Joe Schoen literally came out in the press conference and said, I am going to sell my future by getting an aging quarterback. Outside of Peyton Manning and a couple other guys in NFL history, getting that aging quarterback on a bad team really never works out. Let's see here. Let's give them something to talk. Do the Giants know they won't have any cap space getting Stafford? I'm skeptical. Here's the thing with the Giants and the cap space. They're stupid. Kevin Abrams, all those people, they're fucking idiots. You're probably going to give him a front-loaded deal. And if you're going to do the Howie Roseman, what you do is you give him a front-loaded deal. You make the first 2 years of the dead cap space astronomical. Because you're probably not going to get rid of him. Well, you probably might get rid of a 38-year-old quarterback. And then you sign it all towards a bonus, and you only have him count like $20 million against the cap. And then like $40 million next year. Geno's is too flavorful for me, Mr. Uncrustable. How do you listen? Mr. Taz, wait, Mr. Taz, you're a Pats guy? No, man. Geno's, man. Geno's with the cheese whiz and everything. No, Geno's. When the owner of Geno's died, I was depressed. Joe, underpaid quarterback. I can fix that. That's Joe. Hey, listen, your quarterback is underpaid. Come to the New York Giants. This is Joe Schoen. I'll overpay market value. What's up, my brother? Says Jings. What's going on, brother? Not to mention his statue. 100 miles from a statue is 100 million for a statue is reasonable. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Zach? Don't forget Jared Goff made the Lions relevant. Matthew Stafford, Megatron had numbers and did not win a playoff game in 2021. I don't forget that. That's what I keep saying. Matthew Stafford has always played in a dome and couldn't make the team relevant. I'm not going to pick on Svi. I like Svi. I've always liked Svi. He's always had a problem with me. Now he messages me every once in a while. Or the Miz, whatever you want to call it. And I love it because I was on Twitter with him yesterday. And his philosophy was getting Matthew Stafford and drafting Jackson Dart. And I told him, so you're going to get a 38-year-old quarterback against a suspect offensive line and have them backed up with a guy that if you actually watched him play in the Senior Bowl, I wasn't impressed. And if you watch the fact that he had, out of his 29 touchdowns, 19 of them came in 5 games, and one of those games was against Furman. So I meant to 4 games. So I asked him, so he had 19-4, but then he had 7-11. And then if you watch the Kentucky game and you watch the Florida game, you see all the issues of what's going to happen to this kid. I wasn't being mean to him. I'm just saying that's the Giant philosophy. Do something that doesn't make sense and then double down on stupid. Because I could see the Giants trading the 3rd overall pick for Matthew Stafford, taking Dart in the 2nd round, and Joe Schoen being like, although you gotta do the flex with Joe Schoen. You gotta flex. I love Joe Schoen because this is how he does interviews. You gotta take your muscle. You gotta flex. Yeah, we're doing all this stuff here because we're Joe Schoen and yeah. I could see him doing something stupid like that and thinking he's a fucking genius. GM Tim, I'm starting to get worried of the Kicks vibes with the Giants. So is that the Knicks vibe? I'm worried too. Three-way trade. No, we're not trading it. Let's see here. Matthew Stafford has McVay, the coach and play call, and a talented roster getting to a good conditions, and he has a competent GM. What would we do here with the lame duck GM and a bad roster? He would suck. I don't need to finish the comment. He would fucking suck. You have no excuse. Well, yeah, you don't. You have zero excuse. Matthew says, every time Schoen talks, I want to throw my phone through the wall. Every time Joe Schoen talks, I want to vomit. And I believe the title of my video yesterday was Joe Schoen Presser. I want to vomit. And Merritt is a clown. People keep saying, Tim, well, what are you going to do then with that 3rd overall pick? And I love the other people. Mason Graham. Okay. I'm going to address the Mason Graham in the room. I think Mason Graham is going, like I said, out of the top 8. I think that's your draft. And then after the top 8, it's starters and backups. That's just what this draft is. Happens in the NBA, it's secular, happens every 15, 20 years in the NFL. I think Mason Graham is going to be a great defensive end. I think he's going to be a wonderful player. I think he will excel in this league. And I think that it would be stupid for the Giants to draft him. Because you have a guy named Dexter Lawrence. The interior of your line at times is suspect, yes, because you don't have a running mate for Dexter. But you overpaid for 2 defensive ends, and if you pick up the 5th-year option on Kayvon, you're going to pay him 16-something million plus the 30-something. So you're going to pay, not this year, but the following year, almost $46 million between your defensive end and pay Dexter Lawrence? And I don't think that the season Dexter Lawrence had, I watched it. I was there outside when he got injured and missed the games. It was good. He was gaining a lot of his sacks, though, from the defensive end position, which is supposed to be where the Ghost Brothers play. So you are still going to be susceptible to the off tackle because teams don't run inside much on the Giants anyways because they're like, why? Because we're just going to go off tackle because the Ghost Brothers can't stop anyone. They don't know. They have no linebackers. So we're just going to continue to do that, and we'll just avoid the middle of the field. So you are going to take your perceived strength with Dexter Lawrence and multiply it by 2 by getting Mason Graham and having twice the reason why teams should just run to the outside against the 2 guys that can't play the run. That's Joe Schoen thinking of my books. Hit the like button, people. Giants, what's up, James? Giants need to draft order standards because the right move to make the end of the story on Shea and Dable are doomed to be fired. I'm getting nervous. They will definitely go after Stafford. I'm nervous too. I heard as well that she wants a solid quarterback. Stafford could be which they could have then move to land Travis Hunter. I've been hearing the same things. Like I said, I've been hearing the same thing out of Tennessee. Tennessee does not. And I don't think they wanted Abdul Carter. I still think it's Travis Hunter. Because when you talk to some of the people around Nashville, the owner is concerned because you whiffed on Malik Willis and Will Levis. And they say they're a little gun shy because of the fact that they have a fan base which has had winning seasons prior to the last couple that are getting concerned about winning in the future. And she even said they would like to have a veteran quarterback come in here and lead and potentially give Will Levis another year to sit more and watch. So I keep hearing that too. Oh, Shane Zimenez, can you see? Not on the New York Giants. Let's see here. I hate to say it, but Mara is an idiot at the end of the story. You're right. Would the third overall pick for the New York Giants like Daniel Jones, quarterback, Minnesota? I agree. Mr. Taz is not funny today. Yes, he is actually. Ron Juan says, what does Ron says? Man, I'm liking the idea of more and more of taking Abdul Carr if Ward is off the board. You can't take Abdul Carr. You can't. You can't. I wish this was breaking news. I wish that was breaking news because he's not going to sell the Giants. They're going to sell 10%. Said it before. I canceled my season tickets. And what happens? The New York Giants want to sell 10% of the team. Go figure that one. Go figure that one. I canceled my tickets. They're like, sell 10%. Tim's gone. Oh, we got Big Don coming in with a super sticker. Thank you, Don. You know I love the stickers. You know I always love the stickers. They're stickers. I love stickers. I love it. I love this one because James Williams did not know who Furman was. And I said it on the video, and I told him I had to go look it up on their website. Furman, the prestigious and private liberal arts science university. It's a private college. Because you get the key talent. People in Notre Dame always say they can't get players because of the strict academics to go to Notre Dame. I can see it now. I'm Bob Johnson, quarterback, Furman, butterfly studies and philosophy. I mean, that's probably what you're getting. Oh my God. Amen, Tim. Do not get Stafford. Ron Juan says, according to many Giant fans, Daniel Jones was going to sign another team, tear up the league. Now he's lucky to be at the end on the NFL roster. I love it when someone said to me, Daniel Jones is going to get like $15 million. Trubisky, who has the same type of record, same type of stats, got 8 when he went to Pittsburgh. But that's something Mara would absolutely be in for. What if the Giants picked up Aaron Rodgers? I have no problem if the Giants pick up Aaron Rodgers as long as it's to take him to the airport. I would have no problem with that. If the Giants pick Aaron Rodgers and it's time to boycott the franchise, I'm not kidding. I don't disagree with you. If Stafford is going to agree to come here, he's going to break the proverbial bank to agree to play behind that offensive line. Why? You're going to take Evan Neal, move him to guard. You got an undersized center who gave up the most sacks in the league by a center. You got a left tackle who was always hurt. You got another guard that the nicest thing they could say about him in Green Bay is don't pull the guard because he has a tendency to trip over his own feet, and he doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to run block, which we saw. What could go wrong? I mean, oh, they love it. And then the kid that they took in the third round to Green Bay to replace him, it's a Pro Bowler. So, no, Geno is too flavorful. Oh, for Joe Schoen. Okay, I was like, how could you not like Geno's? I mean, Pat's is okay, but Geno's is the place to go. Send Darnold to the Giants. No. I can't imagine Sam Darnold coming to the Giants because then I think we would literally implode. If Sam Darnold, I see dead people. Who Mr. Seeing Ghost wants to come back to MetLife? No, that's not going to happen. If the Giants get Stafford, that gives them the salary cap and staph infection. The sad part is that what Tim is saying has probably been discussed in the front office. Probably. That's what scares me. Said this before. You can have any political view that you want. But when you think you're the smartest guy in the room and your name is not Elon Musk, you're probably not the smartest guy in the room. And usually the smartest guy in the room is who thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. Usually is the dumbest guy in the room. And that's Joe Schoen. That's Joe Schoen. And people say, well, Tim, how can you say about him? Like, well, I don't know. He only founded PayPal, $1 trillion car company, has a rocket that fucking goes up and then lands back on the pad. He's doing a thing to make blind people see and crippled people walk. That's pretty smart. I mean, if I rank that up there, helping blind people see again and paralyzed people walk and can build a rocket, that usually makes you the smartest guy in the room. Oh my God. Oh, and you made billions of dollars by selling a company called PayPal to take credit cards. Which is great. In the New York state of mind. Let's see. We have a long-term, not a quick fix. The quick fix won't even happen because there are too many holes.
That's what she said.
People keep asking me, Tim, what would you do with the pick? You're always sitting here saying what you wouldn't do. But what would you do? What would you do, hotshot? What would you do? Sorry, doing a little speed there. And I keep telling people this. If both quarterbacks are gone, I've said this before. If Cam Ward's gone and Shedeur Sanders is gone, I'm taking Travis Hunter. And the problem is this. To me, Travis Hunter is so much boom or bust. And I did a whole video about it. He's not Charles Woodson. He has a skill set to play on both sides of the ball, but he also has issues on both sides of the ball. On the other side of the ball, to me, on the offense, he's Devontae Smith. Thin, fast wide receiver, who I think is going to have an issue, have a Jalen Hyatt issue where may have issues getting off the line and getting around that initial contact. Because that's Jalen Hyatt. We've talked about this before. Jalen Hyatt's biggest issue, besides the fact that there's no trust in the coaching staff and he doesn't get a lot of playing time, he can't get off the line. He can't get off the ball. I think in some regards, Travis Hunter is going to figure out, I'm not playing Colorado State. I'm playing the Eagles. I'm sitting there with Cooper DeJean and Big Play Slay and everyone else on the other team. I'm not playing these guys. And is he going to have the physicality to go after those 50-50 balls? Probably not. His best position suited for him is going to be corner. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal cover corner. And I've said it before. He has Deion Sanders, Darrelle Revis-esque coverage ability. The only problem is, and he literally did do this, he went to the Deion Sanders School of Tackling, which is, he got by me. Oh, that motherfucker was quick. I want to stick my head in that. I'm not going to go tackle that 250-pound tight end because of his size. But then again, like Deion and like Darrelle, if you stop the other team from actually catching the ball, you don't have to worry about making the tackle. There was never a tackle Deion Sanders didn't want to not make. There was never one. I've seen some big games against him with Dallas and San Francisco. And then I love that he went over to be a safety with the Ravens. So your biggest play would then be taking him, put him out there with Banks, and hope Banks figures it out. Now, Deonte Banks, people rode his ass last year because he had worse stats last year. His stats and ability were just terrible last year. Okay, you're right. But you also need to look at the safety play of Tyler Nubin and Jason Pinnock, which were both horrendous. Tyler Nubin, I don't get the Tyler Nubin thing. Same thing with Phillips. Yeah, you make the tackles, but the idea, Aaron Robinson made the tackles too, but the idea is this. Your job is to stop people from catching the ball. Tackling is a byproduct. If I stop someone from catching the ball, I don't have to tackle them. So I mean, if it's me, I have to go with Travis Hunter. Because I also think he would probably be one of the safest picks in the draft for the short term. We've talked about this before. And it started with Dave Gettleman. Dave Gettleman, when he drafted perceived talent. Look at Matt from Connecticut. Look at a whole bunch of other players. And I always said, like with Matt from Connecticut, the one thing I always said about Pert was he may be a good offensive lineman in 4 years. I said that I don't know how many times. Because his talent, he will grow into his talent. He may grow into his talent. That talent may grow into something special, may blossom into a flower. But the problem is, it never did. Turned into ragweed. And that's what happened with most of Gettleman's drafts, with their perceived talent. There was more NFL-ready, projected talent to start that Gettleman and Schoen could have drafted, but maybe their ceiling wasn't as high. Schoen, his first couple of years, and even last year, did the same thing that Gettleman was. I'm taking a flyer on a guy who may have a higher ceiling, but is probably not going to give me anything for like 3-4 years, if anything at all. And that's been the Giants' issue with drafting since Gettleman. And I don't think that's going to change this year. I love the stickers. I'm going to show the sticker again because I love stickers. Dan says, man, I'm so ready for free agency to start. What is it, March 17th? Let's see here. This is Joe Schoen's last year. Regards giving Danny Jones a contract. 2022 was fun, but dealing with the aftermath of that smokescreen season. 7-2, 2-5-1. And I can think of 3 games we shouldn't have won that first half. And there was 5 games in that first half we don't win without Saquon Barkley. And that was the smokescreen. How many owners went to the Epstein Island? I wonder if he brought Loverboy DG with them and sells the team already. Oh, my God. Giants sign Aaron Rodgers, trade for Randall Cobb. Yeah, well, just why not? Just send him over from the Jets. I see dead people. Let's see here. I'm seeing ghosts. No, that's just Kayvon. Supposedly the Giants still aren't planning to move Evan Neal to guard. Then they would be even stupider than I thought. But that's okay. Giants are pretty dumb. Sam Darnold walks in the locker room and says, Coach, I see ghosts. I see dead people. And they don't even know they're dead. Andrew Thomas is injury prone. I wonder how long he's a Giant fan. Fans can hate me, but I'm right on everything I say. He's going to be a Giant for another 2 years because the cap space, the salary cap, the cap number is not good for Andrew Thomas. Because the brilliance of Joe Schoen, he decided to piggyback the Thomas and Lawrence contract together instead of staggering them. Oh, maybe Elon can make Joe Schoen see the error of his ways, but then again, you can't fix stupid. You're right, Thomas. What's up, Greg? What's going on? What's up? Everyone says hi to Big Greg. Travis is stronger than we think. Yeah, no. It's not a tackle. As a former safety and sometimes linebacker, tackling is not about strength. Strength is important. Strength is good. Strength is good to have. Tackling is about willingness. And I've talked to other players like this that played in college, played in the pros. They'll always tell you about it's the willingness to put your head into the pile. And I love the guys that, and I'm not talking about you, Greg, but I love the guys that are content creators that never played. Never sniffed the field. Maybe played something like tennis. What do you know about sticking your head into the pile? What do you know about leading your shoulder into somebody, wrapping up, lifting, driving with your legs, and putting someone down into the turf? What do you know about that? Nothing. And it's about tackling is about the willingness for contact. Because it's almost like an explosion. That's what I said, Greg. I wasn't talking about you. It's almost like an explosion. And that's the way I usually tell people, because people always tell me, What is it like to be at the bottom of the scrum, on the bottom of the pile? Scrum is rugby also. What is it like being on that bottom? If you have ever been on the bottom of a pile in football, playing football, first of all, everyone grabs everything. Just gonna tell you, everyone grabs everything. You're grabbing, you're fighting, you're biting, it's everything. But if you ever had your head pushed into the turf when you got 9 other guys sitting on top and you cannot breathe because your face mask is usually centimeters from the grass as your whole head's being pushed in, it's a willingness to jump into that pile. That's when you see guys that don't really go after the fumble. Because it's a willingness. It's a will. It's not about strength. It is about, to me, it's always about strength of mind. Because you have to put all fear aside. Because fear is what gets you hurt. Because if you play with fear, more than likely you are going to get hurt. And it's a willingness to throw yourself into the middle of shit and go after it. And I don't see that with Travis Hunter with his tackling. He could be as strong as you want, but I don't see, I've watched him in Colorado. I don't see that with Travis Hunter. I don't see the willingness to make the tackle. But then I said again, Dion didn't have the willingness. Darrell Revis didn't have the willingness. But if you stop the guy from catching the ball, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it at all. Dion was an awful tackler. He was. Drafting Shedeur Sanders will hurt the kid's development. No offensive line. No. I think people, listen, I've said this before. When the season first started, I was a Carson Beck guy. I loved Carson Beck, but then totally wrong about Carson Beck. But then I've watched Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders both play over the last 2 seasons. And I like Cam Ward more. But there is still something about Shedeur Sanders, and I love how some scouts are now saying, well, he wouldn't even be a 3rd-round pick. You were drooling over him for 2 years, and now all of a sudden he's not a 3rd-round pick. Really? His talent level, he got the bejesus kicked out of him. What was he sacked? 50, 60, 70 times in Colorado? He got the bejesus kicked out of him. And the kid still hung in there and threw the ball down the field. Same thing with Cam Ward. And they both have a tendency to play hero ball. And I don't mind hero ball. Eli Manning, early on his career with Kevin Gilbride, making him the gunslinger he wasn't, made Eli Manning play hero ball. And I don't have a problem with that. The best scenario for the Giants is they would involve Shane Dable getting fired. I like that. At this point, I think it's a much smaller percentage than that happening. I say they both get fired before Thanksgiving. Dean is my favorite football player ever. Oh, Dion. Let's see. Travis needs 10 pounds of muscle just to prevent injury. How to get a rude awakening about bigger, stronger, faster men, not college boys. He's a question at wide receiver. The problem is and I said this about Devontae Smith. Sometimes you see a guy, and people always think it's weird when I say this, but normally comes out to be true. You sometimes see a guy and you say, he's not putting on any muscle. He's not putting on any weight. And I see that in Travis Hunter. I said that with Devontae Smith. I said, I don't think Devontae Smith's going to get any bigger. But I still want the Giants to draft him. But I didn't think he was going to get any bigger. And you kind of see that with Travis Hunter. Travis, unearthly coverage skills, would play quarterback and put on muscle. And maybe tackle even. I don't care if he tackles. Fucking care if he tackles. You draft Travis Hunter, the least thought process in my mind is to have him tackle anybody. I would say, listen, go to the other side and lock down A.J. Brown. Make sure A.J. doesn't catch the ball because he is going to run over you. And hopefully we'll get some safeties that can come in and play. I still think Tyler Newbern should be a linebacker. I think Tyler Newbern should be a Peppers / Logan Ryan / type player that one season where they played something like 65% of their snaps in the box and on the line as a quasi linebacker. That's what I think he should be. Fabian, what's up? Big Tim, how you been? Fabian, I'm good, man. I see you. I love it when I see people I haven't seen in a while, but it's like old home week. What's up, Fabian? How you doing, brother? Is everything good? I hope so. Greg says the combine press conference was the combine press conference. You watch Joe Schoen. You're just like, that's my general manager. I know you played, Greg. That's why I said not you. That's why the comment wasn't. Marshall Green is one of them. I don't know who Marshall Green is. Who does he play for? Let's see here. Hey, Tim, Ward and Sanders are gone at 3. Would you be okay if you trade back from number 3 if it meant passing on Travis Hunter? No, like I said, there is like maybe 8-9 guys in this draft. And it's not just coming from me. You have many draft nicks, many draft experts saying that this is not an all-pro draft. This is maybe you have like 6-7 guys in the beginning of the draft. It could be all pros, pro bowlers, and the rest are starters and fillers. It happens. That's like the Knicks always get screwed with these types of drafts. It's like, what's his name? When they took when the Cleveland Cavaliers took that kid that no one wanted and was out of the league in 3 years because it was the worst draft ever in the NBA. I think it was 2003 was a terrible draft. But this happens. This happens. Bad Dog 2. Oh, about playing? I don't know if Bad Dog didn't play. Is Bad Dog not play? I don't know. I just think that if you have a perspective and you give an opinion. Anthony Bennett, thank you. From UNLV, thank you. I knew it was Anthony. I was going to say Anthony Bennett, but I couldn't think of who it was. If you're giving a perspective on something, I think you should have some insight. Because I always like when people break down film. And I always laugh because you see, even Carl Banks came out and said, a couple other people saying, it's great that these people are breaking down film all the time, but the game isn't played with a clicker and stop and start. Because what these guys do is they take one, they'll show a play and then stop it and go, look right there. If you would have done this and cut like this, okay. When you're actually playing and you're actually in full motion, that doesn't happen. And you should know that if you actually played. So I don't know if Bad Dog didn't play or not. The press conference was a whole of Joe Schoen sounding lost. I know with the combine injuries, GMs keep things close to the vest, but my goodness, he sounded the most incompetent of the group. He did sound bad. I watched a lot of the press conferences with Joe Schoen. He did sound bad. Let's give him something to talk about. If I see Travis Henry, I'm doing a Dion. You see Travis Henry? Yeah. Or you just do a Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean is CB1. What's up, Giants 34? Yo, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? I'm here for the realness. That's what we do. Pass on injuries. Yeah, we already talked about the fact that we are not going up the card. Anything that anytime you hear the word stress fracture foot, you run, but not on the bad foot. And if you're going to have preventative surgery that's going to keep you out for 8 weeks, I stay far away. I hated Carson Beck. I saw too much of Daniel Jones and his playing style. And immediately turned me away from him. I have been a Cam Ward guy for years. I didn't like Cam Ward at Washington State a lot. I did watch him. I think he's progressed and maturated since he's been at Miami, but maybe it's also the talent level. Giants trade for Spencer Rattler. That would be the Giant move. Mr. Jackson, what's up? Hey, Tim, I think we have a miscommunication the other day. I commented on one of your videos talking about how I hate the people who make multi-million dollars and aren't as good as you with evaluating players. I'm sorry. I didn't know we had a miss thing. I'm sorry. I do apologize then if I said something rude. And it probably was something rude, and it probably was my fault. Because I'm tired. We got another rescue. And this dog has the enable ability to get up and have to go pee at 11, then at 4, and then I have to get up at 6. So... but I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I apologize. I didn't know. Oh, but I think I apologize, man. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. And if I did say anything rude or stupid, please accept my fullest apology because I was probably rude or stupid. Because that's just me. I am Cam Ward fan, but if I drive Sanders, I know his dad will come in with his son and aid and become a coach. We need that more than Cam Ward. We need a coach that can bring in free agents. I always thought I always thought Sanders might go somehow Dallas. Because I always see Dion in the cowboy hat. Listen, Deion's not coming to coach the Giants. Deion hates New York with a passion. Does anyone remember the Tim McCarver incident? Everyone remember he forced himself out of New York and went to the Reds? He's not coming here. But I think I thought I was talking about, I got to that coming already. I just wanted to clear that up, brother. Damien, listen, man. You don't ever have to explain anything to me. That's all good. You don't have to explain shit to me. Never. You know what the best part of this channel is? You never have to say you're sorry. You never do. I love it because it reminds me of Batman at that end of the scene. He goes, with Commissioner Gordon, was the first Batman. He goes, I don't think I ever thanked you. And Batman looks at him and goes, and you never will. Timmy! What's going on, brother? Shedeur Sanders is laser accurate. He's tough and competitive. My only knock is that Shedeur Sanders wants to make the 40-yard pass play, then check down and will move the chains. The problem is with Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders, I say, is probably one of the most accurate quarterbacks in this draft. And he has the arm strength. The one thing I hate about Jackson Dart is like I said, I keep trying to explain to people, look, the big play where he threaded the eye of the needle between two defenders for the receiver to come down the ball, that senior ball, people are like, ooh, did you see that? I saw a guy who didn't have the arm strength to get it over to defenders that didn't hit the guy in stride for a touchdown. That's what I saw. And then I also point out the fact that you look at the 7-on-7 drills and the fact that he lofted one thing, he lofted a ball into the corner of the end zone. And how do you not see the safety on a 7-on-7 drill and almost got his wide receiver wallered? But Sanders to me is scary accurate. The same with the kid with Ohio State. He's scary accurate at times as well. But Sanders to me has the physical tools. He has the physical mindset. I just can't, I don't know. I don't think that I don't think surgeries make you better than you originally are if you lose. But that's true. Listen, I had 2 knee surgeries. I had ACL replacement, and I'm a mess. It didn't make me any better. Anthony Bennett, thank you. So we talked about Anthony Bennett. If I had to nitpick, I really like Sanders, and I think he's a good fit, and he will thrive. I like okay. Someone asked me about Sanders because I hated Josh Rosen. And the reason I hated Josh Rosen, and I did a video about this years ago, and the reason I hated him coming out of the draft is because I thought he was too political, was not going to mesh well with the media, and had this personality just wasn't going to fit New York and just doesn't fit. And there are certain personality. You can have all the talent in the world, Ryan Leaf, who has this ability but does not fit in the NFL locker room. Does not fit in the NFL culture. And I thought that about Josh Rosen immediately. And I said, I do not want that guy anywhere near the fucking building. And one of the issues people see with Sanders is that they don't think he's going to fit. He's not going to fit in. And I keep telling people this. He has been raised in NFL locker rooms since he was a kid. He understands this. If you want a guy that comes in and gets the NFL, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. 100%. I think Cam Ward's going to get it, but if you want a guy that I think will find a way to fit in and be part of the team, I think it's going to be both Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. Big Fabio with the Super Chat, Tim. Tim, do you think about Tim, what do you think about the no first down? I hate all these fucking rule changes. And then they want to change the kickoff thing again. You know, it's funny. One of the best memories I have before I started playing was in 7th grade. For a year, I got to be on the chain gang. That's the sound of the men working on the chain gang. Got to be on the chain gang for junior varsity. And even freezing and holding the flags. That was one of the greatest things ever. And it just gives you the perspective of, especially if you're a coach, it gives you the perspective of where the ball actually is. Sometimes they try to make things better by making things worse. And John Mayer is on the competition committee, so there we go. That about sums that up. Giants need to draft a safety too. Still, we do. We need 2 safeties. 2 safeties, Mr. Taz. Look at Mr. Taz coming in with some giant concepts. Greg says if we don't grab one of those running backs, I don't think Tracy's a full down. I don't know what Tyrone Tracy is yet. Nobody knows. The league now has film on the dudes, on the guys. The league now has film on them. So we have to wait and see what happens. He's got to fix the fumbling. What's up, Danny Ghost Duds? I won't mind a defensive tackle from Michigan if we can't get Ward or Sands. We talked about Mason Graham, and I'm going to ask you really quickly about this, Danny. That's because I ranted on about Mason Graham for about 15 minutes. You have a guy named Dexter Lawrence. You have a perceived not a perceived weakness. You have 2 weak-ass defensive ends who can't play the run and don't understand how to maintain their assignment and have a propensity of taking the rushes wide and over pursuing. And teams for the last 4.5 years have just been running off tackle because of the perceived strength of Dexter Lawrence in the middle of the line. Why would you pair him with somebody else and give teams more of the reasons to run on the outside where there's really no linebackers or any quality safeties? How does that make the Giants, and I'm not picking on you, but how does that make the Giants better? So I missed the Shane press conference, and it turns out I missed nothing at all. Good call. Big L! Doing it, L. If we get Stafford, this would be a Jet thing to do. All the desperations to be relevant. Mara, just fire them now. And that's the thing. This is a desperation time to be relevant. That's it. It's a time to be relevant. And that's all they want. They don't want to be good. They want to be relevant. And you're only going to be relevant till the ball is snapped. And then all that goes out the window. I always think it's the greatest line ever in boxing. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. And that's what I think is going to happen. Here we are, me and James. First game of the season. In this hanging out in the suite. Living the sweet life. Living la vida loca. The twinkle in our eyes, drinking mimosas, thinking the season is going to start and be something spectacular, and it turned into a shit sandwich. Because that was the perception. And that's the problem with the Giants. They're not relevant. There's no perception. There's nothing there. They want to be relevant for a minute, but you need to be good for 10 years because we haven't. Fabian says, Giants are a mess. Logic Finest says, is anyone talking about the Giants? I like the kid from South Dakota a lot. I like him a lot, but I'm not taking a running back at 3. Did we not learn about taking one at 2? The Golden Dragon. Mr. Taz says, once upon a time, the Giants could have had Howie Rosen when he was sending letters to 32 teams. God, what a cursed timeline that would have been. That would be a fucked up timeline. What is it in Superman? Is it Bizarro World? I'm not a comic guy where everything's backwards. I mean, that would be awesome if everything was backwards. if everything was in Bizarro World, that would be awesome. I think we'd be fantastic. I think that would be great. I'm still upset that Gene Hackman died. Still upset about that. But that's all right. People think I'm crazy about boycotting the season, but I'm literally sitting here thinking they should trade down for more future picks, and that's might prolong Shane. We are screwed. I've said this before. If you trade down, I don't want to trade down. I want to trade out. I want to move my 2025 pick to 2026. I want to have multiple first rounders in 2026. That's what I want to have. Bad Daniel Jones. I mean, Carson Beck is getting to Miami with less talent and $5 million. So Danny Dad says, bad Daniel Jones. I make Daniel Jones seem not bad. Beck is a better quarterback prospect than 0 stars Daniel Jones. I do think Beck is a better prospect than Daniel Jones ever was. Is he going to perceive to be Is he going to perceive to be a, I don't know. I'm not worried about it now. Greg says Jackson Darts put his whole body into these throws. He does. Actually, that's a great observation, Greg. Let's see. I remember in 1989, George gave him the name Neon Dion. He hated playing in New York City, hated George, but still liked being a Yankee. He hates coming to New York, ever seen even for an endorsement. He's not coming to New York. Let's see. What does Connor says? I would like to get Benjamin Morrison in the second round, but he has a protected top 15, but falling because of injury. Lockdown NFL talent in college. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Tim, do you believe the team's grade is right? Oh, so the Giants came out and the people graded the Giants. So, I guess the people in the locker room. If that's the perception of the locker room, that's fine. But you also have a lot of guys. You know what that reminds me of? If you ever been in an organization that HR comes out and says that we want to do a company evaluation, and these are all going to be anonymous. You could say whatever you want to say about this company, about this organization, about everything else. It's anonymous. Don't worry about it. But somehow the anonymity all of a sudden goes out the fucking window. So I don't know. That pick lasted about 15 minutes. No, that pick lasted that pick lasted literally, because we got there early. that pick lasted literally about, I don't know, a couple hours. We were eating chicken wings. We had the mimosas flowing. I always enjoy. This was back in Eli Manning. I think this was 16. This is me, and I think it was a 16. It was the Redskin game. As me on the sideline hanging out, and it was only that day. It was New Year's Eve. It was about -6, but we stayed for the whole game. I always had a good time. I always have a good time going to the Giant game. It's just the fucking game ruins it. Mr. Barkley says, Greg, not true. Oh, that's you two are talking. Mr. Alvarez says, I know the player, Joshua Stewart, the edge rusher from Michigan, was projected to go after round 1 as a Giants fan, and Howard Cross, his son, was projected to go late 2. Both want to be Giants. I saw Howard Cross the third. Love wants to be a Giant. I saw that. That's always good to have a legacy. Mr. Logic Fine says, Tim, I would take a running back at 3 either. I was just curious if the team was even mentioning. No, they're not talking about it. Apologies if I wasn't clear. I'm preparing dinner, so multitasking at 6:43 a.m. Yeah, I know the theory about multitasking. You know what? I'd always love it because I got suckered into the dog thing. And of course I told the family, what's the difference between one, you got 2 of them. What's the difference of adding a third? Yeah, evidently it was a big deal. I haven't had 3 dogs in a long time. Evidently it's a big deal adding a third because everything goes out the fucking window. Anything that you used to do, you can't. To Petro, how's it going, my friend? How's it going? It's good, sir. Hope you and your family. Well, family's good. Family's good. Enjoying the life of the New York Football Giants. I'm just hoping that everyone's hitting the like button. And I got a message here from Twitter. Hold on here. Travis Hunter's not available, and neither are the quarterbacks. Who are you picking? Well, I don't think that's possible. Wait. Did we trade? I'm asking the person on Twitter. Did we trade down? Because I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's possible at all. Because there's only 3 picks, so we would have to get one of them. If I couldn't pick Travis Hunter or Sanders or Ward, that's wow, that's a good I see. The thing is, can you go through the perception of taking another offensive lineman? Because we could use another offensive lineman. I'm not sold on Will Johnson. I mean, good. I think Will Johnson is a good cover corner. I think he's a polished player. I think he's a very, if you watch him play, he's very instinctive. And I think he could basically play in any scheme, but I can't take him at 3. Whew. That's actually interesting. I probably would trade down. And like I said, or I can go by my philosophy and trade down and move out. Haven't been keeping up with the Giants too much. Let's decompress at this time. But apparently Rodgers reached out to the Giants. Yes, Aaron Rodgers reached out to Joe Schoen and told Joe Schoen,
Joe Schoen, listen, this is Aaron Rodgers. I don't know why I'm doing this voice, but this is going to be Aaron Rodgers, baby. Aaron Rodgers is going to be Elvis for a minute. I want to come to New York and play for the Giants.
Joe Schoen says, okay. But we're only going to give you $1 million, and you can't compete for the starting job. Let's see here. If we're trading the third overall pick in 2025, what do you think is good compensation? The first and second round for 2026? If you have a quarterback need, let's say the Raiders with a new head coach, a new philosophy, wants to jump up and make that pick, I would take the Raiders first rounder next year. And I would probably do a third and a fifth, and maybe do the third and fifth in this draft. It really depends on who's trading up from where. Travis Hunter. I do like Travis Hunter. Timmy, what's up, Vinny G? Thanks for making my day at work, brother. This team is hilarious. Like your content. Great. Great, Vinny. You basically said I'm a laughingstock like the Giants. If it's me, if Ward or Sanders are not there, I'm going Travis Hunter. Like I said, there is a large chance, though, that Travis Hunter could be a bust. And people will say, well, you don't know anything about sports, Tim, because there's no way he's going to be a bust. There are so many players out there that were never going to be a bust, that all of a sudden we're a bust. And I think Travis Hunter's got bust written all over him. But I also think he has the coverage skills of a Deion Sanders. And I think he has the athletic ability and speed to play wide receiver, just not full time. So this is what really scares the shit out of me with Travis Hunter. He's going to have to be coached in the right scheme and or philosophy. Can the Giants do that? Trade the third pick, the third Dexter Lawrence and the third round pick to move the spot with. That would, Mr. Taz, that would be the Giant way. Listen, okay, we only need to move up 2 spaces. So I'm going to give you the third pick, Dexter Lawrence. We'll throw in Andrew Thomas. You know what the scary thing is? That's pretty much anything anyone would want. And they're Gettleman guys. Because everyone can ask for Malik Neighbors. Not getting Malik Neighbors, but this is what people are going to want. That's it. Let's see. It's an absolute chain move. Peter says, I think we're screwed, but realistic. We want to trade down, but no one wants to trade up for anything with problems. I wouldn't take any of these quarterbacks, but then we are screwed at the quarterback again. Wayne Gretzky said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's also from The Winner Within and Pat Riley. Great book. Which is funny because I literally have... I always love that. Hold on. I always love it because I have the hardback copy of Winner Within. And on the floor over there, I have the paperback copy. That's how good of a book this is. You gotta get The Winner Within. Great book. Great book. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And Joe Schoen never swings.
Hey, bada swing, bada.
He doesn't swing. And I love how we talk about the fact that we do all this research on players, we do all this looking, we all do all this, everything else. It's fucking crazy. I think I tore my bicep. But real men. We play in pain. Razzle says, how long do you think Joe Schoen and Dave will have if they draft a quarterback? It doesn't matter. Actually give them a few. Here's my thing. If you draft a quarterback, and I've said this before about Joe Schoen, which I thought he should have done, just draft any quarterback. You draft a quarterback. I think that adds 2 years onto your deal. I think if Shane and Dave will draft a quarterback, whatever the outcome is, I think they're safe next year. Oh, hold on. That might be the 2-minute warning. Mm-hmm. Let's give them something to talk about. Sorry, I had to text some people here. Let's see here. EC1 Football says, as all the Giants fans are walking home, I asked him, do you think your GM will get drafted right here? He threw his hands up and said, I don't know, and walked away. Yeah, that about sums up our fine. Vinny G says, it must be nice to be Rogers switch a jersey and Shane will give you $40 million to start in DeVito. That's probably the Joe Schoen philosophy. He would tell Aaron Rodgers, listen, we already had this conversation last year with Russell Wilson. I'll give you the $1 billion, but you're not going to beat out Tommy DeVito. That would be Joe Schoen. I want to trade down not too far and want to take either Abdul Carr. You can't take a guy who's going in for a surgery to do a preventative surgery for a stress fracture. You might as well just hit the kid with the hammer in the foot now. Get it over with. Call it a day. Hunter, let's see. Hunter scares me because of the amount of snaps he will take on both sides. That's the thing. With Travis Hunter, and I've said this a million times, and you and I have talked about this, Big O, you have to pick a side. You have to. If you're going to make a full-time defensive player, you give him like 10 snaps on offense. But don't, no, punt returner, no. Kickoff return, no. Slot receiver, yes. No. On punt and kickoffs, no. Knock, who's there? No. And if you're going to play him on offense, here's the thing, and this is why I also want to put him in defense. If you play Travis Hunter on offense, I'm not playing him at all in defense. Because I'm not going to take my pairing with Malik Neighbors and get him hurt for him trying to make a tackle on A.J. Brown. 99% of all gamblers quit right before they hit it big. That was a good one. Of course, you swing in the last 3 drafts, but picks the worst quarterback drafts inside. We're going to swing. That is typical Joe Schoen. You had the quarterback draft last year. You had 83, 2004 last year. You had it. You had it in front of you. You could have traded down, still gotten a Penix, and then got someone like a Brian Thomas Jr. or a Ladd McConkey. You could have done that easily and fixed your offense. But instead, think about it. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, Travis Jordan still went the 5th round, Joe Milton, even Leary got drafted, Michael Pratt even got drafted. And you could have added Joe Milton. But we decide, I know what we're going to do. We're going to outsmart anyone. We're going to take a guy at wide receiver and not have anyone throw him the ball. And then we do have someone to throw him the ball. We're going to overthrow him the ball so much that even though he has this wonderful season, it's also because he was throwing the ball 497,000 times. That's the Joe Schoen philosophy. How many wins ensures Shane and Dable are? I'm going to say 9. Ward reminds me of Dwayne Haskins. No, Dwayne Haskins was the one-season wonder at Ohio State. He had the 50 touchdowns. I was not. I love it because I was told I was racist because I didn't want to draft Dwayne Haskins. But then I got Big Pat telling me I'm reverse racist because all I want to do is draft a black quarterback. Dwayne Haskins, I never liked one-year starters Dwayne Haskins, like I said, I refer to him, and I'm going to say it again over and over. I refer to him as a lollipop thrower. This is what I called him. I said he's not going to work in MetLife because his deep ball is this high arcing pass, like he's trying to throw it over the top of a lollipop. And it's just not going to work out in the wind. And he just didn't have the experience as a quarterback at a high capacity to be ready for the NFL. And Cam Ward is the opposite of that. Let's see here.
Yeah, people say I'm a genius, but how can you mess up 5 and 7?
Joe Schoen will trade for Myles Garrett and say we're contenders now. Joe Schoen probably will be like, I'm going to get Myles Garrett. I know I'm going to fix the team. I'm trading the 3rd pick, Andrew Thomas, another pick, another 1st pick, and I'm going to get Myles Garrett. And I'm going to have Myles Garrett, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, and Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to have $100 million on the line and no players behind them. But I'm Joe Schoen. That just might work. So does a hooker on Sunday. Joe Schoen will draft a punt returner at 3 from Purdue. Why are people still talking about drafting Carter? The ship has sailed and sunk. Hopefully he recovers and healthy. That's the thing. You hope Abdul Carter is making the right decision to do preventative surgery on an injury that has not occurred yet. And he wasn't going to participate at the combine because of the shoulder. So you got a guy with a shoulder that 6-7 weeks later is still healing and is going to have preventative foot surgery. I'm not a smart man, Jenny, but I know what stupid is. It's Joe Schoen. Oh, my God. Let's see. I want McMillian, the Arizona wide receiver. The quarterbacks aren't there. I want a taller wide receiver since the quarterback room currently feels like the Munchkin Man. We represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild. Wandale Robinson, man. I saw that someone was like, Fireside Giants. We're going to give him a 2-year extension at $9 million a year. Yeah. That's what we should do. He's still got a year on this guy. Still got to play out this year, but we should give him an extension because somehow in year 4, he's going to get better than he was the first 3 years. And I remember saying it in the draft over and over again. I can't take a guy in the 2nd round that got pulled down from behind multiple times at Kentucky. Let Carter fall to Howie. Yeah, that is a Howie Rosen type move. 100%. Didn't even know Abdul Carter was having shoulder surgery. Scratch that. I like that. We don't scratch that. We're done there. Strider said, so Abdul Carter's stock dropped. I mean, the dude has got to get surgery, and he will go to the Eagles. Ugh. I don't know if he has to get surgery. It's a preventative surgery. It's preventative. It's not like he's having this surgery because the injury has already occurred. It's preventative surgery against getting a foot fracture, stress fracture. Unless it's changed over the last couple hours that it's now currently a stress fracture, but before it was told it was a preventative injury. And it was going to be about 8 weeks. Ooh. That would be nice. That would be nice. I'm in a Burger King. I don't know last time I had Burger King. All right. We're really rocking it over here in the OBB house. Okay. Yeah, he's going to follow the Eagles. Mr. Taz, Giants passed on Guantanamo Bay. White Boys Summer Dijon. The Cooper Dijon. I was so mad when you guys got the kid out of Toledo, Mitchell and Dijon. I was so mad at that. I remember sitting in the bar with Big L and sitting there going and talking about when you got Mitchell. You went and got Mitchell. I was like, oh, that's going to be bad for us. It's like, that's not going to be good for us. And it wasn't. Hey, Tim, some say I'm a genius, but you can't screw up the 5th and 7th pick. And
How about Brian Burns?
Dude, Louis Riddick from ESPN said he would pick him if he was a GM of the Giants. Who? Abdul Carter? Nah, I can't take a guy with stress. I can't take a guy with stress fractures in his feet. Can't. Greg Oden. I mean, I just can't. I wanted Michael Penix so badly. They whiffed on it, and the Giants fans lucked out because supposedly the Giants were going to take Joe Alt instead of Neighbors if he was there. You could have traded back or traded out and still got Michael Penix, moved back up into the first round, and grabbed a Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey. Hell, I even said it before. I would have taken Keenan Coleman. Malik Neighbors is good to have at 6 when you have an offense built around him and for him by having, wait for it, talent. Talent is always the key with every team, and we just don't have. And I love it because there are some people, most people around the NFL rank the Giants roster talent-wise around 31st to 32nd. But I saw a Giant beat writer, and I cannot remember who it was, who came out and said, the Giants are closer than you think to winning. And the one thing I thought about this was, and I meant to ask it on Twitter and I forgot, in what sport? Rugby? Basketball? Croquet? Badminton? Because it's not football. This roster is not, you are not looking at a roster here that has all this talent on it that you are just looking at and saying, if you currently had an NFL team that was looking to, like, you could totally pluck guys off the Giants roster. If you're an NFL team, there's maybe 3 guys that you would want to take, that you would really go after. Somebody would probably take Brian Burns. You're definitely going to take Malik Neighbors. I think Deonte Banks, that's a question mark. Kayvon Thibodeau is a question mark. Graham Gano is getting cut because we need to save some money. You're not taking Wan'Dale Robinson. You're not taking Drew Phillips. You're not taking Devin Singletary. You're not taking Pinnock. You're not taking Flott. Some teams might take a flyer on Tracy, but not as a starter. You're not going to take McFadden as a starter on a lot of these good teams on the top 10 playoff team. You're not taking JMS. You're not taking Evan Neal. You're not taking Azuda. You're not taking Bellinger. I mean, that's our talent level is just so devoid. And the fact that we missed at 5 and 7 for those foundational pieces, because we missed at 5 and 7 2 years ago. We missed going on 4 years now. We missed at 5 and 7. I was all down for Kayvon Thibodeau. I did a video about it. I also want to take the other linebacker. I can't remember who the linebacker was at this time. I was all down for that because I didn't believe the rumors that he took plays off. And I didn't fully do my research because I watched film and I didn't really see a lot of it. I didn't ask around. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't like the Evan Neal pick, but I thought Kayvon Thibodeau might be a player. But sometimes things just don't go that way for you. Well, first of all, it's about,
What about Brian Burns?
still Hard Knocks is going to haunt any NFL franchise for the next 100 years because of what the Giants did on Hard Knocks. It's literally going to haunt any team. If you are a team and unless you are forced on it, then at that point in time, you just got to watch cut. You just have to. It's just there. Because of the fact that we just were so bad at it. And here's the problem. It's not that the Giants are bad at reality TV. The Giants are just bad at football. And that was the issue with Hard Knocks. We're just bad at that whole football business thing. Maybe we could be like on the hills whatever, or the real world or something like that. But we're just bad at football. We were good at reality. We were great at reality TV. Reality TV. We were fucking awesome at reality TV. We were must-watch reality TV. We're just not good at football. So, Joe's going to trade the first rounder for Saquon Barkley. Sure, to move up in the room. Also tell me Daniel Jones looks really good and he's willing to trade number 3 and 5, give him $50 million. Just remember, though, you can't have a $45 million quarterback hand off to a $12 million running back because this is the year of Daniel. How far down would Abdul Carter have to go before you take him, Tim? I can't take a guy who is having preventative stress fracture surgery in his foot when he's a quick and nimble defensive end who uses his speed to get around guys because he really doesn't have a plethora of pass rushing moves. See where I'm going here with this? See where I'm going there? It's like taking a quarterback who's a righty but has a broken right arm. Or he has a rotator cuff injury in his right shoulder. We're like, hey, we should take that guy. He can't throw, but who needs a quarterback that can throw? Those guys are highly fucking overrated. Joe Schoen will draft Jackson Dart, fool everyone. It's not going to be a fool. He will do it. Let's see here. Tim, I love it when certain giant content creators, they were kept seeing Drew Phillips had a great season. And I'm like, dude, allowed 70% pollution rating. Dude, was not great. Listen, I love it because with certain content creators and people, when I bring up stats, they're always like, well, you could just bring up any stat you want just to prove anything. But then all they ever do is when they want to prove something is bring up a stat. And I love it because they go, well, you just got that from Pro Football Focus. I'm like, no, I got it from the Giant website. It's not that he had a bad season. It's just he did not have this season that people are talking about in reference to his coverage skills. And he's supposedly at 5'11", 180 pounds going to be our third cover guy, or maybe starting at CB2 when he had the gimme interception at the end, which was his first interception since high school. The league completed 75% passes against him for 9.3 yards a completion. The average target percentage, or the average yards targeted, which means how far they were down from the line of scrimmage when the throw was actually made, was 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. 48 of 36 was completed against him. He had, at one point going into the last game of the season, 0 pass defenses. Don't worry. Don't worry, though. Oh, that's our CB2. I was at almost every single game. I don't see it. Maybe he's CB4. Maybe it's sweat from my balls. Great movie, CB4. Straight out of Low Cash. Maybe he can be in the remake of CB4. We've said it a million times on this channel. We've said it all the time. Don't piss down my leg and tell me it's raining. We're close to winning. No, Tim, Lou or Louis Riddick or whoever his name was, ESPN said he would take Dwayne Haskins if I didn't know that. I know who Louis Riddick is, or Lou Riddick. Do they even know Philly and the Commanders are in our division? They also know that their CD Lamb is over in Dallas. Hey Tim, what's up? Hey Tim, I made it to the chat. Well, welcome the avenue and welcome. Let's go Giants. Let's see. Flower was the reporter that said that the Giants were close to being. I love it. someone DM'd me on Twitter the other day talking about giant beat writers, and they were like, all these giant beat writers go on other shows. They go on other shows, and these are people that get like 20 people to watch. You never have any guests on. I have subscribers on. I have friends on. And I laugh because I think there was only, and I don't want to say who because I said no to them. There was only one giant beat writer that asked to come on the show, and I said no. I was like no. And I don't know. I guess I should. I was going to say no. I'll have to think about it. I'm going to say who it was, and I said no because I was like, and I even told the guy, I said, "You seem really nice, and I'm very friendly to other people, but." You're just not. It just would not work out. And I always tell people all the time. Me having people on here that have anything organizationally to do with the Giants, do you really think that would work out? I mean, it's must-watch TV. It's a fucking train wreck. But no, it's not happening. Don't worry about Joe Schoen. We'll sign Nick Chubbs and Kenny G. Oh, my bad. It's okay. Do we have a pair of big interior defensive linemen next to Dex? No. No, we already talked about this. No Mason Graham. Last time I'm going to say this because you weren't here. No Mason Graham. No. No Kenneth Grant. No Mason Graham. No. Why? You already have two people on the ends that can't play the run in Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. You have no linebackers behind them and very limited safety help. The idea is the strength of our line is Dexter Lawrence, which is why a lot of times people avoid going to Dexter Lawrence because they know they can run to the outside. So we can't double down on putting another defensive end next to Dexter Lawrence and still have people run to the outside because they understand that Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns are usually going to over pursue or get pushed to the outside by the tackles, which then allows a big gap between the defensive end and the defensive tackle. So it doesn't make sense to double down on someone that's the same as Dexter Lawrence when it's not going to make you any better. Joe will bring Dan Jones back and give him a new contract, $100 million. If we get a bad pick, if we get a... Okay, those that do not know, Greg, and we love Greg. I love Greg. Never met Greg in person. I've talked to Greg, I don't know how many times on the show. Greg's been on the show a million times. Greg, very insightful, Giant fan overseas. The last time he was on, he was wearing a pink New York Giants sweatshirt that we can only assume he mugged an old lady to get. Because I don't think that anyone would sell a man a pink New York Giants sweatshirt. So, and I love it because Greg, you rocked that pink sweatshirt like a champ. I have to give you all the credit in the world. There's probably only a couple people in this world, besides you and I, that could pull off a pink New York Giants sweatshirt. And I agree. If the Giants do something on draft night, Greg, I want you to wear the pink Giants sweatshirt so the Giants don't do anything stupid. Bring back Dalvin Thompson. That would have been smart. Dexter Lawrence played the run better, or the best opportunities he had to play the run when he was paired with Dexter Lawrence. Why? Because Dexter Lawrence does not have a similar skill. There's the thing, and I should get into the Mason Graham thing just one last time. Dexter Lawrence was the perfect fit. Dalvin Thompson was the perfect fit for Dexter Lawrence. And then we let him go for $10 million a year, which we could have easily paid. Because Dalvin Tomlinson did the dirty work. He did the grunt work. And I hate this cliche. He did the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. He took the pressure away from Dexter Lawrence. But he didn't have the similar skill set as because that's what you need. You need a guy that is a lunch pail guy. Again, more cliches, more football cliches. You need a guy that will sit there and just do the dirty work. and let Dexter be the star. Mason Graham's not going to want to do that. Mason Graham's going to want to get paid, especially if you take him third overall. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl without being able to throw, so there is precedent. Peyton Manning also had a fantastic defense that year last year in Denver. We only have three players that would start for the roster. You're right. Les Snead is about to violate Clueless Joe in a biblical sense. Oh, my God. The New York Giants, the choir boys. I ain't no choir boys. No stress fracture, please. Kevin Durant, Odin, and Embiid. You never want. Tina and the Super Friends. That cracks me up. James Williams. I guess Chris Bad Dog and somebody else do a show. I've never seen it, but James has told me about it. And James calls them the Super Friends. I would like to see it, but I don't know. I'm just busy doing nothing. Hey, Tim, remember when Kayvon Thibodeau lit up Jalen Hurts and tried to block Kayvon Thibodeau? That happened right now. No. First of all, you remember that totally wrong. At no point in time did a quarterback block the 5th overall pick and make him look foolish as Swift went around him for a big game. That did not happen. That never happened. He didn't get blocked by the Munchkin. No. I think you look bigger when you wear a double digit. I think you look bigger if you wear a double digit. I was thinking about that. I think you look small if you have on that single number. Maybe that's why I don't like Kayvon Thibodeau. Maybe he's got to switch to like 90. Well, no, not JPP's number. Let's see. Let him switch to 92. No, not 92. 90. No 90s. Changed my mind. 55. Let him be Gary Reasons. See, look. Banks looks big. Banks looks big wearing 36. This is when he hurt his arm in the preseason game. And I'm only bringing this up for a reason. Because Banks, look, who does not think that Banks does not look big wearing 36? Who doesn't think that? Is there anyone out there that doesn't think that Banks looks big wearing 36? He looks like he's a big dude. You look at him and say, that is a corner that is going to do damage. Because he's a big dude. Okay? There's him without a number and without pads on. So, there you go. Numbers mean everything. 55. Switch to 55. What's his name? Jihadi Ward is gone. Switch to 55. Telling you. Numbers make the man. Man made the money. Money never made the man. Remember that. This is the world of Cool J. Kobe King, the outside linebacker, is a sleeper. Okay, we'll have to look at Kobe King. Let's see. Rebuilding a 3-win team with zero depth trading draft assets for a 37-year-old quarterback is the worst idea even America come up with. No, the worst idea America come up with is trading assets, not having anyone on the roster for a 40-year-old quarterback. JPP wouldn't let a quarterback block him. JPP with no fingers would not let a quarterback block him. Let's give them something to talk about. Let's talk about the Giants. What are we up to here? Don't forget to hit the like button. I don't know how many likes we have. I want to thank all the people that are in the Twitter sphere right now watching. We got a good group right now. Does anyone know who John Lund is? Does anyone know who John Lund is? Anyone? Bueller? I'm only asking because I guess he does sports stuff, and I got an email from. I'm just reading an email from someone that I think works with him, and he wants to come on the show. I don't know who you are. Why not? Why not? Why not? Go from there. Kayvon is an all ego, no performance. Maryland players take longer to develop in the NFL. I think Boomer Esiason would say something different about that. What's up, Andre? Good afternoon, all. Sorry if I'm late. You were late. And we waited. I was supposed to leave here at 12:30. The notification for the stream went up like at 9. I waited an extra 14 minutes for you to show up. And then you have the audacity to show up, Andre, as I'm getting ready to leave. You make me sick. Just kidding. No, of course you're always welcome. John Lundy does radio. I don't know. I don't know. I'm being honest. I was kind of being lazy. And I didn't want to click on any of the links and see what it was that he does. I don't know. I was literally being lazy. So I was hoping somebody would say something and I wouldn't have to do any research. I love the fact that we probably could be more successful if I put effort. And I always hear that I always get these media people that call me and they're like, we can make your channel bigger and better, but you have to put in the effort and do these things. Nope. That's too much work. I'm retired. I'm not doing that. Honestly, how far away are we from being competitive? When the Giants signed the Daniel Jones contract, I said this 1,000,000 times. It set the team back 5 years. And I said 2027, 2028, this team will be good again. I'm going to say 2027. And I kept trying to explain to people. I kept hearing, you don't understand I always love it. You don't understand the contract. It's really only a 2-year contract with a 3-year out, which still cost you $22.5 million in dead cap space because you had to move money over from 2023 into 2024 into 2025 because of the fact you didn't mismanage your cap. But here's the problem with that philosophy. If you put your eggs in the Daniel Jones basket, it meant you weren't drafting a quarterback for at least another 3 years. And what year are we in now in reference to drafting a quarterback, potentially? Oh, year 3. And then you got to give the guy 2 years to mature and maturate and build a roster around him. So you're looking at 2027. I always tell people, don't shoot the messenger because I fucking didn't invent math. Sumerians did. Mm-hmm. Strider says, people think the train for Stafford is like when the Bucs got Tom Brady, but Tom Brady came as free agent. We had good weapons around him. Oops, I think I have to go. What's being yelled at? Be up in 5. Be up in 5 minutes. Boop. There we go. John Lundy does radio. Yeah, I don't know. Does he? That's what I'm asking. We pay you to be here on Andre, you're paid here to be on time, brother. Buy a watch. Sorry, Andre. Just feel like I want to pick on you. Now Andre's like, fuck. Why did I show up to this mess? 1, 2, 3 in the place to be. DJ Run, and he's MC. Funky Fresh. It's McDaniels, not McDonald's. These rhymes are burgers. These rhymes are Daryl's. Excuse me, and the burgers are Ronald's. It's treat to Rocco, rhyme to Rocco, rhymes. It's right on time. It's tricky. It's tricky. Huh? I met this little girlie. Her hair was kind of curly. Went to her house to bust her out. I had to leave her early. Sorry. Great. Now I'm gonna have Run DMC stuck in my head. Why didn't Joe Schoen speak at the combine? Never seen a grown man lose their mojo suddenly like that. Just ask Austin Powers. Let's see. I still can't believe I still believe in Banks. I don't believe in the Fitzbowen system. I like Banks and the Wink system. That was the thing about Banks. Deontay Banks fit the Wink Martindale system. That's why Wink almost broke Joe Schoen's back, giving him that hug, because he got his corner. The Marcus Peters over in Baltimore. I can't think of the other guys off the top of my head either. They fit the system. He doesn't fit the system that he's in now. I've said that before. He doesn't fit it. Very true. He's an actor in a bad movie. The only way we are currently competitive is if we have gotten a cupcake schedule in 2022. This team is rebuilt essentially from the ground up and won't have a lot of cap space until next year. And the only reason we have cap space this year is because of the fact that we don't have a quarterback on the roster. Oh, that's right. Tom Brady was a free agent. He was. But trading for Stafford will not mean a Tom Brady Super Bowl run. Not even close. You were right. The year before the Tom Brady went to Tampa, they had Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston that season threw for 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. They were a good team. I talked about it. I was laughing because I got the dish, and I was laughing watching the Tampa game one day because he literally threw at one game at home. Jameis Winston threw more interceptions for touchdowns than he did touchdowns to his own team, and he threw for like 4 touchdowns. That's how mad. And when people talk about Jameis Winston, I'm like, you have no clue how maddening this guy would be on the Giants. I blame Walter Camp for inventing football because if Joe Schoen did, would never have been the Giants GM. Charles Barkley, man, I love you. I wish you were the real Charles Barkley because I love you. Oh, my God. Isn't it the job of the coach to make his system fit the guys he has and not the vice versa? Well, you know what's funny? Shane Bowen tried to fit the Giants, and I worried about Shane Bowen coming over to Tampa because he always had terrible secondaries outside of the 2 years with Jim Schwartz. He always had terrible secondaries. And I was fearful that he was going to bring in the system that he ran over in Tennessee, but he didn't. He tried to reinvent himself with the system, and it just didn't work. Oh, food's here. All right, guys, the food here is never fear. Danny DeVito is here. Oh, dear Lord, we're screwed. And on that note, I got to get out of here because dinner is here, and I got to walk down to Tim York, Big Blue LLC. You can catch the rebroadcast on the stream on podcast format in about an hour. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace, everyone, and I'm out of here.